right. Hi, everybody. This is Yoga for Strength and Balance. I am Jennifer, and just checking in. I know there's concern as we're starting to kind of phase into this idea of opening. And I was just sharing with the Zoom group that I'm really grateful for Valerie's intelligence in moving forward, and also how she's caring for our community. So to keep look, as we are going to be showing a plan for reopening, but we're not jumping right back in, and we're going to be doing our own phasing in. So for today's class, I just got a great question. If you do not have a resistance band, you don't need one. You could do all of these exercises without the resistance band, and they're still quite effective. I'll be showing alternatives. If you have something you could use as a strap, maybe you have a yoga strap or a belt or a scarf or something like that, we'll be using something like this. And then I have a couple blocks and a chair. The chair, I just want to show alternatives since you're all at home, you have different kind of props, and I can't see the bodies that are in the room. That really influences usually how I teach. So as we go through class, I'm going to be showing some different versions of how to do this, and you can get creative and make it work for you at home too. You can even think of that as part of our practice. Just getting crafty with what we got available, what resources are available, and doing the best we can. So you could have a seat and either close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a moment as if you could bring your senses home, to bring your senses inward and have a moment to check in. Allow your exhales to run their course. And as you let your exhales go all the way to the end, see if it could be fairly soft and gentle without having to force it. Each exhale could invite a bit more grounding, a settling towards the earth. Relax your jaw and your forehead. And even the roof of your mouth might be able to slightly broaden or have a sense of softening. As your exhales could invite a bit of grounding, and you may or may not feel that tangibly, like each exhale your seat could get a little heavier on the floor. Could your inhale, in also a very subtle, gentle way, inspire a bit of a lengthening up through your spine, through your torso? To feel that dynamic of settling with your exhale. This might sound strange, but consider what it would feel like if you could lengthen up gently through the back of your spine on your inhale. Join your hands at your heart and set an intention, or to consider what quality of heart would you like to intentionally practice? What would help support your vitality this morning? Could be to be gentle or patient. It might be to practice feeling courage or confidence. Bow your head to your intention. Release your hands and take your time to lie down on your back with your knees bent and feet on the floor, and to have your yoga strap nearby. Oh my goodness. I did a cardio workout yesterday with a girlfriend of mine on Zoom,
And I can really feel it. You might notice as I'm teaching in my movement, oh, I am feeling that, that workout, which it also gave me a little inspiration. So see what you think here. So as you lie down, again, to feel that quality of grounding and to notice what your exhale is like now that you changed your posture. And you could take your belt or your scarf, loop it around your right foot, and put your right leg up in the air, wherever it could be fairly straight. So it does, if it hurts to straighten your leg all the way, you don't have to. But the reason I say to have a straight leg is that all three of these hamstrings, these big muscles in the back of your thigh, get to join in. And if it's all right, you could lengthen your left leg to the floor. If that causes discomfort, then keep your left leg bent. See if it works for you. You could walk your hands up the sides of the strap or scarf. So you also have fairly straightish arms. And now start to create a bit of a tug-of-war. So press into the strap with your foot, up towards the ceiling or forward. And as you press into the strap with your foot, you could bend your elbows a little bit out to the sides and draw your shoulder blades towards each other. So the tug-of-war is kind of between the muscles in your upper back, or again, postural muscles, and your foot pressing up into the strap. Now, see if you might be able to peek at your leg. And just notice where your knee is pointing, and just be curious about how your leg bends and moves as you bend your elbows out to the side to start to bend your knee to bring your thigh towards your belly. It might only bend an inch or two, and that's okay. A lot of this has to do with your bony structure and the shape of your hips, as well as your knee. But as best as you can, when your leg is bent and you're keeping your shin fairly straight up and down towards the ceiling, where is your knee and your toes pointing? Could you point your knee and your toes more or less in the same direction, like straight back behind you? And into that awareness, you could even think, where's your hip socket? So according to your knee, has your knee drifted out to the right or over to the midline? Could you think of your hip socket, knee, ankle, all in the same plane? And it doesn't have to line up perfectly, just the best you can. Try to keep that nice alignment as you press into the strap to once again lengthen your leg. Ankle mobility, press into the strap to point your toes towards the ceiling and flex your foot. Point and flex. Ankle mobility has a lot to do with being able to walk on uneven surfaces and our balance. You could press into the strap as if you're going to make your leg longer all the way back down to the floor, and take a moment to feel side to side after that effort. What is grounding like side to side? What's your breathing like? When you're ready, the other side, left foot in the strap or scarf, wherever. You don't have to force your leg up to go super high. Speaking as someone who has pretty flexible long hamstrings, it didn't do anything that special or exciting for me, right? In fact, too much flexibility here could lead to instability. So that's part of the reason why we also want to do an active stretch, that tug-of-war. Press your foot up into the strap. As you draw your shoulder blades towards each other, it might help to bend your elbows a little bit to kind of feel a little snuggliness in your upper back. Tune into the texture, the quality, the length of your breath. And you could have some curiosity about where your kneecap is pointing without having to criticize. A lot of this has to do with genetics. You can start to bend your elbows to bend your knee and bring your thigh towards your belly. And what I like to point out is you're actually in an upside down lunge pose right now. If we were to flip you around and be standing on your feet, you'd be in kind of a runner's lunge. Where is your knee pointing? Could you line up your hip socket, knee, and ankle joint more or less all on the same plane? If your knee goes out a little bit or comes in, it's okay. You don't want to force it, But just consider what is it like to try to line those joints up. Press into the strap, and with tone in your leg, try to keep that nice alignment as you lengthen through your leg. And press into the strap, point your toes towards the ceiling, and flex your foot. Point and flex, ankle mobility. You could press into the strap to lower your leg all the way down. And again, have a moment to just feel the echo effect. Bend your knees. Okay, so with that, we're going to try a couple, we're going to work on some core stability and midline stability. So here we're going to start with dead bug pose. And this could be done with your feet on the floor, okay, a cross crawl. Or you could lift your knees right up over your hips and have your legs in this position. Draw your hip crest bones just a little bit towards your belly so your low back isn't arching away from the floor a whole lot. Extend your arms straight up, palms face each other, and now bend your elbows so your fingertips point back behind you and your arms and legs near each other if you're doing this leg hovering version. Here's the cross crawl pattern. Inhale, straighten your right arm and your left leg straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale back to starting. Inhale, right leg, left arm, straighten up towards the ceiling. Your leg might not straighten all the way, that's okay. Exhale, bend back to dead bug pose. Inhale, opposite arm and leg lengthen while your other arm and leg stay steadfast. You could also try to keep a quality of steadiness through your midline. And what I mean by midline is the line like that goes right through your center from the top of your head, the tip of your nose, your chin, your sternum, your belly button, your pubic bone. When you're done, place your feet back down on the floor, have a rest. Now, when we do these cross crawl patterns, right and left hemisphere of the brain are having to coordinate. So they could feel a little tricky or confusing. You just do the best you can. But as we're working on balance, core strength for physical balance, we're also working on balancing thinking mind and our concentration. So let's try another one of these cross crawl patterns. This time you're really going to use that awareness of midline as you extend both legs straight up towards the ceiling and both arms. Your legs are bent a bit, that's absolutely okay. Press your feet and your fingertips up towards the sky and feel maybe your back body press into the floor a little bit more. Could you use that awareness of grounding and the pressure between you and the floor to try to stay steady? As you inhale, take your right leg out to the right, left arm out to the left, maybe just a little bit. Exhale back up to center. Inhale, left leg left, right arm right. Exhale back up to center. Inhale, opposite arm and leg move away from each other while your other arm and leg stay steadfast. And once you get into this rhythm of movement with your breathing, could you drop your attention back into grounding? How steady can you stay? How far can you bring your leg out to the side without tipping or rocking? Try a few more. What's your concentration like right now? Good, finish up. Feel what your breath is like after that. Okay, so we're going to go through a progression of sit-ups. You can interlace your hands back behind your head. Lift your head about an inch or so off the floor. We're going to start with this familiar version. Okay? Exhale, draw your front lower ribs down towards your spine, down towards the floor to lift your head and shoulders up away from the floor like a little seesaw. Inhale, lower down thoughtfully. Exhale, draw your front lower ribs down to lift up. Inhale, lower down. See if you can initiate the movement more from your center by drawing down through your front lower ribs rather than leading with your chin. And you could keep up with this particular version, or if you want a challenge, you could lift your knees to be right up over your hips. Exhale, same action. Inhale, lower down, thoughtfully with control. Exhale, draw your front lower ribs, hip crest bones towards each other to lift up. If you want a challenge, you could come up and hold it. Exhales help you to inhale. When you're ready, lower down. We're going to do one more here. And you could do either version of the sit-ups I just did, or you could try this, and where you extend both legs straight up towards the ceiling. You can lift your head about an inch or so off the floor. And on your exhale, you're going to bend your knees to draw them in as you draw your front lower ribs down to come up into your sit-ups. Kind of hug in. Inhale, lengthen your legs towards the sky, lower down thoughtfully. Exhale, hug your knees in as you come up into your sit-up. Inhale, lower down thoughtfully. Follow your breathing. And when you draw your knees in, it's really kind of like you're squeezing in. Try 3 more if you're up for it. And when you're done, place your feet on the floor, or you could lengthen out through your legs, stretch through your whole body. And feel what your breath is like after working on core strength. And could roll onto your right or left side. Really, you could do either side. Give yourself a little pillow with your arm or a blanket and stack your hips. Stack your hips, stack your knees. Press your feet into each other to lift your top knee away from your bottom knee. And place it down thoughtfully, or don't quite place it down at all. Meaning that you can lightly touch. Now this is somewhere you could have your resistance band. You're welcome to tie a resistance band around your thighs. And you could use resistance here, but this is pretty effective without the resistance band. And one of the things that makes it more specific is to only lift your top knee as high as you can without leaning back. And if you want a bit of a challenge, you could lift your knee, hold it, and now do little mini presses out into your band or out into the air. And when you're done, have a rest. And we'll go to the other side. So we often start this practice on the floor. And some of my strategy is, okay, we'll wake up, core support first, pelvic stabilizers, so these hip, outer hip and glute muscles. You can hug your knees up, check that your hips are stacked, knees are stacked, press your feet into each other to lift your top knee, and place it down thoughtfully. Or don't quite place it down at all. It's up to you. You could come down and have a little rest in between each side, or you come down and barely touch and lift up. Where do you feel the effort? Could you think of these muscles in your the top hip, and contracting, shortening to help lift your thigh bone up, and then place it down slowly. Where's the effort? Where's the sensation? You could lift your knee part way, hold it, do little mini presses out into the air. Tends to get fairly specific. When you're done, let it go. Come on up to tabletop pose. And as you come up to tabletop pose, you could have a block nearby. And if you have a resistance band, your resistance band nearby. Lengthen through the back of your spine. Exhale the round cat pose. Inhale, lift your sternum, your chest forward and up. Cow pose. Exhale the round. Inhale, opposite action. Could you keep a quality of length through your spine as you go through this movement? So even the back of your neck, a nice continuation of the rest of your spine as you come into cow pose. Lift your sternum rather than your chin. And you could finish with a rounded spine cat pose. Come back to tabletop. Lengthen through the back of your spine. Tuck your toes and hover your knees about an inch or so off the mat. Exhales help you to inhale. Now you could stay right here, or you could try a bit of a crawling pattern, or a total crawling pattern. Right hand forward, left foot forward. Left hand, right foot. Crawl forward a few spaces, a little chair. And then crawl back to your spot. Try to keep your knees and your hips low to the floor. When you get back to your spot, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. And in down dog, if you like, you can experiment with some movement. Bend one knee at a time as you extend your other heel towards the floor. But press into the mat as you do this so it's an active stretch. Get more steady in your down dog. Exhale all the way to the end. Press your feet towards the back of the mat as you exhale forward to either plank or tabletop. Touch down with your knees. Have a rest in child's pose. You can remember your intention as you take a big breath into the back of your body. Come back up the table. And we're going to work on stability through core with some hip movement, okay? And we're going to break down this exercise. We do this in other ways in plank and things. So we're actually going to break it down. It might look like it's easier, but if you're really staying in this true stable alignment, it can be fairly challenging. So try not to collapse in your upper back. It's really as if you could press the floor away from you. And draw your hip crest bones and your front lower ribs just slightly towards each other as you think of lengthening through the back of your spine. Could there be maybe a sense of cohesiveness or tone through your midline? Now the goal here is to try not to lean or sway. So try not to lean or sway as you press into the floor. Tuck your right toes under and just simply slide your right foot back so you have a straight leg. Did you lean? Could you adjust so you're facing the floor? Draw your hip crest bones a little towards your belly. Now without, again, leaning or swaying, could you stay steady through your pelvis, your rib cage, core in between? As you inhale, toe touch out to the right. Exhale back to center. Inhale, toe touch out to the right. Exhale back to center. Notice if there's kind of, I'm exaggerating for demonstration's sake, that there could be a compensation, right, that wants to happen. How steady could you be? And if you feel your right hand get heavier as you take your right arm, or right leg rather, out to the right, press into that. Use that for your advantage. A couple more if you're up for it. Come back to table, and any movement or maybe a rest in child's pose in between sides. I'm going to grab a blanket so I have some cushioning under my knees. Okay, so back to tabletop pose. Ground down firmly, Lengthen through the back of your spine. So even the back of your neck is a nice continuation of the rest of your spine. Could you stay steady as you slide your left leg straight back? And to start, you can even press your left toes down into the floor. See if you might get a little lift or tone in your low belly. Without arching through your low back or leaning, inhale lightly, toe touch out to the left. Exhale back to center. Inhale out. Exhale back to center. How steadfast could you be? And it might help to slow things down a little bit. Could you feel grounding shift beneath your hands as in one hand gets heavier, press into it. Two more. Come back to table, have a rest back in child's pose. You can make this more of an active child's pose and come up onto your fingertips and walk your fingertips towards the front of your mat as you reach your hips back. And keep that dynamic as you wander your hands, your arms over to the left. You can reach your right sit bone back, big breath. Wander your fingertips, your hands over to the right as you reach your left sit bone back, big breath. And as you're ready, come back to center, up to table, tuck your toes, and once again, cover your knees. Exhales help you to inhale. And now you're gonna crawl around your living room. No, I'm joking. Lift your hips up and back down and facing dog. And take your feet wider apart to bend your knees really generously. Okay? And as you bend your knees, take your hips way, way back to lengthen your spine and your torso. Press your feet towards the back of your mat as you inhale, lengthen through your legs. Exhale, bend. And if you can see your knees and your feet, could your knees and your toes face more or less the same direction and your heels straight back? So just look at that movement. And when you're ready, wander to the front of your mat, Uttanasana, standing forward fold, where you might use your blocks or a chair or your shins. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, completely to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lengthen forward, bring your hands to your shins. And if anatomy allows, you could have straight arms. Start to press your shins and your hands into each other. And press your shins forward so much you actually start to bend your knees as your shins come forward. You keep that tone. Press down into your heels. Bring your hands to your outer thighs and press into your hands. Could you feel clamshell muscles helping? Could you keep all that on board as you bring your arms out in front of you? Or maybe even a little bit of movement with your arms. Does that make a difference? We press down to come all the way up. Tadasana, mountain pose. Let's take a moment to tune in and feel the transition to standing. I'm going to set this blanket aside, and you could take a hold of your TheraBand or your strap or belt to work through this too. Okay, so very quickly, we're going to be doing this exercise where you're pulling your hands away from each other, either on a strap or a band. And then we're going to come to a place where we get really wide and come back here like this. So I just like to show you quickly, strap, same thing. We just don't have this, the give or the stretch. You can slide your hands wide. Okay, so either one of those props can work here. And then there's also the suggestion of a block. So we just did those clamshells, we're working on outer hips. If you want, that you could use a block, or I could have a blanket folded up really tight to give something kind of hug towards the midline. It gives a little more muscular feedback. Hold your band or your yoga strap. As you squeeze the block, press down through your feet and lengthen up through your torso. You can pull your hands away from each other, just a little wider than shoulder width apart. Inhale, reach your arms up, overhead, provided that's okay for your shoulders, neck, and everything else. Exhale, lower down with your breathing. Inhale up. Exhale down. Now, pay attention as you move up and down with your arms. What area of your torso or your spine is offering mobility? And what commonly happens is the low back might arch to bring the arms up, or the pelvis might tip forward. So again, see if you could stay connected to your footprints and keep a quality of steadiness through your midline as you bring your arms up overhead. And the next time you come up overhead, stay there. As you hug the block, pull your hands away from each other, reach up, up and over to the right. Press down through your feet as you reach up and over. Stay connected to grounding as you come up and over to the left. As you press down through both feet as you reach up and away from there. All the way up, press down through your feet. Inhale, lift your sternum up and back. More than your chin, lift your sternum. Exhale, press down through your feet, draw your front lower ribs slightly down. Inhale, lift up and back. Try that 1 or 2 more times. Exhale, grounding, integration through your midline. Inhale, up and back, a little back. Exhale, ground down. Inhale, lift. And as you're ready, come all the way up. Lower your arms slowly. Pay attention to sensation, your breathing. Bring your hands wider on the resistance band or the belt. Bring your arms all the way up overhead and go really wide. Okay, this is where our wrists often pop forward. Try to have your fists, wrists, and forearms in a nice line as you take the band back behind your head a little bit. And see if it feels all right to pull your hands away from each other as you bend your elbows to draw the band or strap down behind you. And up. So it's different with the yoga strap. You're not going to be stretching the band out. You keep your hands wide. You can really do this either way. Again, where is the mobility? You can come all the way up and down. Set the TheraBand, the yoga block aside. And this is where the chair is coming in handy. Now you might practice this without a chair, or you could use a countertop, a sofa, anything that could help with balance. Maybe you don't need anything at all. Okay, so I just want to show how we could use this. So if you're using a chair or something for balance, you're going to step pretty close and we're going to do a big crescent lunge. Press down through your right foot and take several or a big step back with your left foot. This is also where you can have your fingertips at a wall. That doesn't work so great for teaching on the camera to turn my back to. So have your foot is close to whatever you're using for balance. Bend your right knee so it's right over your right ankle. And provided it doesn't hurt, be on the ball of your left foot. Your heel will be lifted. Press into both feet as you lift the front of your pelvic bowl up towards your belly. And if you're using a chair like this, you could even press down into the chair or press into the wall a bit. Tune into your breathing. And you could stay right here or see if you feel balanced enough to sweep your left arm up. And as you ground down into your feet, lift your rib cage up and over to the right. Press into your right heel a bit more. Where's your right knee facing? Did it face forward like your toes? Maybe our clamshell muscles helping. Come all the way back up. You could stay right here. Bring your fingertips to the chair. Just try a little bit more movement. Inhale, lift your left inner thigh. Exhale, bend your knee. Inhale, press down to lift your left inner thigh. Exhale, bend. You could have your left arm up. Some of you might be doing this without any balance assistance at all. Come all the way up, press into your right foot firmly and pull it back towards you a little bit to step forward. Feel side to side in your body. We'll try the other side. So your toes are either close to the baseboard of the wall or close to the chair, whatever it is you're using for balance. Press down into your left foot firmly as you take several steps or a big step back with your right foot. You're going to check that your feet are still hip width apart, right from left. Bend your left knee so it's over your left ankle, and you could open your knee a little bit towards your little toe as you press down. But also plug into the ball of your back foot as you lift the front of your pelvis. It might feel, we call it the brightness in the front of your hip here. Ground down as you lengthen up through your spine. Tune into your breathing. You could either stay right here or sweep your right arm up. And as you press down into your feet, lift up with your rib cage, up and over to the left. If you exhale all the way to the end, where does your inhale expand? Come all the way up. You can either bring your fingertips to the chair or the wall, or maybe your arms up. Inhale, lift your right inner thigh. Exhale, bend your knee. This is provided your knee and everything else feels okay about this. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lift. Come all the way up, press down into your left foot, step forward. So we're going to try that once again, but now to that crescent lunge, which is a little tricky for balance, we're going to add a bit of a cross crawl and perhaps eye movement, okay? So press down through your right foot. You can watch me first and then join in if that's helpful. Take a big step or several steps back with your left foot once again. And as you bend your right knee, shin straight up and down, press down into your feet. As you lift up through your torso, tune into your breathing. Let it be soft, complete exhales. Now this could be plenty, or we could add this movement. Sweep your right arm up. Exhale, your right arm's going to come out to the right. Inhale, it comes up. Now this is a cross crawl pattern, and if you want to challenge yourself also with vestibular balance and proprioception, as you inhale, you're going to look up towards your thumb. Exhale, follow your right thumb out to the right. Inhale, sweep your arm up, follow your right thumb. Exhale, sweep your right arm out to the right, follow your thumb with your gaze. Now if that's too much, let it go, hold the pose steady, add the arm movement. One more if you're up for it. Exhale, arm goes out to the right, follow your thumb. Inhale up. Touch the chair, the wall, step forward. Let's have a forward fold in between sides. Join your hands at your heart. Inhale, reach up, you could lean back. Exhale, the forward fold. Hands maybe come to the chair, your shins, the floor. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, completely to bow. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Press down through your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. You could lower your arms. I really wish we were in the same room right now, because it's a cross crawl pattern, the way your legs are and how we're moving the arm. Once you start following your thumb with your gaze, it's surprisingly challenging, I find. And what you're doing is you're working on vestibular balance in your inner ear. You're also working on that proprioception of, can you stay grounded while your gaze is going up and about? Okay, so we're doing brain yoga. If it's really hard, come back to just the arm movement. Maybe experiment with your gaze just a little bit. So here, press down through your left foot as you take several or a big step back with your right foot. Have whatever you need for balance, giving you support. Bend your left knee so it's right over your ankle and press into both feet as you press into the chair or the wall to lengthen up through your torso. And you can sweep your left arm up. Now let's try with the gaze forward first. Inhale up, exhale, left arm comes out to the left and it could sweep down by your side if you like. Inhale up, exhale over. Inhale up. If you like, you could look up towards your thumb. Exhale, follow your thumb with your gaze. Make use of whatever you're using for balance. Inhale, follow your thumb with your gaze. Maybe all the way up. Exhale out. Inhale up. One more if you're up for it. Press down through your front foot to step forward. Join your hands at your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward. One more bow, let your exhale run its course all the way to the end. Inhale, lengthen forward as you bend your knees to sit back, chair pose. Press down through all four corners of your feet and think of your clamshells or think of your knees pointing straight forward like your toes. You could press down to come all the way up. Okay, so here, I'm going to set the chair aside. I'm going to have my blocks at the front of the mat, along with the resistance band. You could do this exercise with or without the resistance band. I'm curious what you think about that last exercise. I think it's really hard, but I've been recovering from a concussion. I still have some slight concussion symptoms. So that brain yoga is challenging. So here, TheraBand ready to go. Okay, let's see, for you to see me, I think it's actually going to work better for me to have this way right now. Join your hands at your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to forward fold all the way down, Uttanasana. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step your right foot or heel onto the band. You're going to give yourself a lot of slack out to the left. Step back with your left foot, way back, so you're in this runner's lunge, and you might have your blocks, okay, to make the floor closer. As you press down into your right foot, open your right knee towards your right little toe, and you can even have your right hand on the outside of your shin, kind of press into that. Could you keep your right hip steady without swishing out to the right as you pivot your left heel down? Bring your forearm to your right side, give yourself a little boost up. We're going to do this action first without the band. You don't need the band for this exercise. Press your right hip back as you reach forward through your spine. You can kind of dangle your left arm down towards the floor. We're going to do this pulling action, kind of like a bow and arrow. Inhale, bend your elbow like you're pulling back on a bow and arrow. Now start to rotate your chest open to the left. You can reach your left arm all the way up to the left. If you want to challenge balance, you can even turn your gaze up towards your thumb. Follow your thumb back down as you bend your elbow and slide your hand back down towards the floor. You could continue like this without the TheraBand, or you could reach down, take a hold of your band. It needs to be long enough to pull, bend your elbow, pull up. Turn your chest open. The band has to be long enough to reach up, straighten even your wrist. Exhale, turn down towards the floor. Inhale, press down through your foot as you bend your elbow to come up. Now there's a lot of action going on with your upper body, arm, shoulders. What's happening with your right hip? Could it help stay steady as all this movement's going on? It's also okay if you keep your gaze facing the floor or the horizon for balance. Next time you come down, touch down, pivot to the ball of your back foot, step forward, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward and a bow. Take a great big step back with your right foot, and your left heel will be on the band if you're using one. Open your left knee towards your left little toe. You could bring your left hand to your outer shin and press into that. As you open your left knee left, could your outer left hip maybe do the slightest tuck in towards your midline. Keep that steady as you pivot your right heel down. Bring your left forearm to your thigh, give yourself a little boost up. We'll try it without the band first. Ground into your back foot as you lengthen through the back of your spine. Right arm kind of dangles towards the floor, and like you're drawing back on a bow and arrow, drop your shoulder up, bend your elbows, start to rotate your chest, open to the right, and you reach up. Same action to slide your hand back down. You could try that without the TheraBand. Could your left hip stay steady? Could you keep a sense of grounding in your left heel? If you like, you could reach down and take a hold of the band. Same action, bend the elbow, pull. We don't get a lot of that pulling action in yoga. All the way up, maybe even with your gaze. It's okay to keep your gaze steady towards the ground or towards the horizon to help you with your balance. Or you could challenge yourself by following your hand with your gaze slowly. Wherever you are, could you keep an awareness of grounding, where you're connected to the floor, even as this movement is occurring. Maybe 2 more if you're up for it. You could always rest before I suggest. Last one. Touch down, step back to downward facing dog pose. Complete exhales. Let your exhales run their course all the way to the end. Press your feet towards the back of the mat as you exhale forward to plank or tabletop, either one. And lower all the way down to your belly. You could touch your knees down or hover down. Reach your toes back actively as you pull your hands back on the mat to curl your heart forward and up, a little cobra pose. Inhale, curl your heart up. Exhale, lower down. Now, often we do this at the beginning of class. How does this feel after those lunges that we did? I'm asking because we stretch these hip flexors and quads a bit, and that sometimes could free up the back bend a little bit. Next time you come up to Cobra, stay there if you're up for it. See if you might, as you reach back through your feet, be able to lessen the weight in your hands, or even sweep your arms back behind you, lift your feet. You could stay right here, or exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, lengthen through your legs. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Maybe 3 or 4 more. When you're done, make a pillow for your forehead, come down, have a rest, and tune into how your body's responding on your behalf after those efforts. Remember your intention and take a big breath into the back of your waist. Place your hands, press up and back to child's pose. And from child's pose, come all the way up and transition to lie down on your back, where you can have a yoga block and your resistance band available for this bridge pose we're about to do. Okay, the block, if you're using one, will be for, again, in between your legs, right below your knees. And the resistance band is for you to hold on to and hold, or a yoga strap could work for this too. You just don't have the stretch you give. When you pull your hands away from each other, you want them to be about shoulder width or a little wider. Give the block a little squeeze as you check that your head is fairly level. You could gently press down through the back of your head, press down through your shoulders. You could snuggle them towards each other. Give the block a squeeze. Press down through your feet to lift your hips up away from the floor. You could snuggle your shoulders a little closer together. Pull your hands away from each other on the band as you reach your arms up and back overhead. Bridge pose. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, hug the block, press down to lift your hips up. Reach your arms up and back. Exhale, lower down. Trace your breathing with this movement. And 2 more if you're up for it. When you're done, set the block and the band down. You could hug your knees in. Place your feet on the floor. Cross your right ankle past your left thigh bone. You can either keep your left foot on the floor. Your left foot could go on a block like this, or you could use the side of a couch or a wall, so you don't have to hold the back of your left thigh. And if you can reach comfortably, and that's okay, you can hold your thigh. And flex your right foot a bit and open your right knee forward. Tune into the movement that occurs with your breathing. And try a little rock over to the left. When you're ready, any movement as you switch sides. Now, if you feel pressure in your knee, so this isn't a knee stretch. One thing in the exercise video I watched yesterday, I did not like, she was having them stretch and press their knees towards the floor and saying, feel the stretch behind our knees. We really want to keep this stable, and when we're stretching, we're going for the muscles more than the joint. And we're really trying to get the muscles around the hip right now, not the knee. So if you're feeling it in your knee, sometimes this pose looks like this in people. Okay, the foot's sickling and the foot's on the thigh bone. If you're feeling pressure in your knee, try taking your big ankle bone past your thigh bone. Sometimes that makes less pressure in the knee, but you have to experiment and see what works in your body. You could try a little rock over to the right if you're stretching your left hip. Just tune into the movement that occurs with your breathing and see if that affects sensation at all. Release that. Any other movements or postures you'd like to do to get ready for Shavasana? And since I have the chair here, I think I'll demonstrate. So you could always put your legs up the wall, but it requires some long hamstrings. So another alternative for resting in Shavasana is you get your legs up. You can make it really simple. Calves on the seat of a chair, lie back. And just check that if you are resting your legs on a chair or your sofa or something like this, check that your calves are supported all the way up to the backs of your knees. That's nice. Take your time. Of course, you don't have to put your legs up for Shavasana. Take your time to get comfortable. Whatever is going to help you feel comfortable to rest. So we did have a few cross crawl patterns in our practice. And the following the thumb with the gaze. If any of that felt at all unsettling, that's a natural response, or if it was really challenging, or even felt a little scary. I have felt those things practicing some of those practices with the gaze, especially recovering from a concussion. So whatever your response is to the exercises, it's correct. You did the best you can, and that's what the practice is. It's to try your best. Maybe it works, maybe not. And then there's a practice of acceptance. It's even in yoga called sometimes radical self-acceptance. A radical act of accepting and loving yourself, every cell of your body, just as you are right now. As you make any final little adjustments, then begin to settle in and let go. Surrender to gravity. Invite your muscles to soften their grip on your bones so you could rest heavier towards the floor. Relax your jaw and in between your eyebrows, the corners of your eyes. Maybe even muscles behind your eyes might be able to slightly soften. And your palate. Nothing to do, nothing to get done, nothing to undo right now. Thoughts will still come, but see if you could be somewhat unattached and to not react to your thoughts. As best as you can right now, just rest. Practice rest.
Bring your awareness back to grounding. Where's the pressure between you and whatever that you're lying on? And as if you could bring your senses home, to tune your senses inward. What's the quality of your inner landscape? There's no wrong answer. According to how you're feeling, you could deepen your breathing, begin to bring movement back, maybe really subtle, and just wiggle your toes, or however feels natural for you. Take your time. And eventually, if you like, you could make your way to a seat. Once you are seated, you could either have your eyes closed or you could have a soft gaze, a steady, soft gaze. We experimented a little bit with our gaze today, and you might have felt, I don't want to imply that I know what you felt, but there might have been a moment that balance felt tricky, or maybe you even felt a little dizzy, or you felt the effect of your gaze moving about. A steady gaze tends to be fairly settling for the nervous system. Your gentle, complete exhales, quality of grounding. Join your hands at your heart and acknowledge your efforts, regardless of how it went. If it felt challenging or easy, acknowledge your efforts and self-observation, and in practicing these skills for resilience. Thank you all so very much. Namaste. Thank you everybody so much. And I'm really curious whether you're in Zoom land or Facebook land, if you have questions, how did that go? Trying to follow your thumb with your gaze. We could even practice that from a seated position or from standing. There's lots of different ways. I find it tricky, but I also know that I have some brain stuff. So I'm curious to hear about your experience, whether you liked it, you couldn't stand it, it was hard, you're not sure what I'm talking about. I've gotten some comments back lately from some of the classes I've been teaching, and the questions and the requests and the comments have been so helpful and have been giving me ideas for teaching. Because what I realize in this format is that the feedback, like I miss you being in the same room, that feedback really informs my teaching so much. So send the comments and questions. Thank you all so much. I'm going to sign off of Facebook, and no pressure to stay on Zoom. You can check off anytime. You don't have to say goodbye. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.